good. I remember last night I tried doing this and my audio was pretty low. I'll make sure.
No, I gotcha.
Yeah. Actually, this sounds really good. Alright, I'm pretty happy with this.
Well, there you go.
Well, hey man, thanks for coming on here and joining my live stream. That's, no one's probably gonna watch, but that's okay.
Well, hey, as long as I still get my $10 at the end of this.
Hey, yeah. Hey, I think the last time we talked was, the zombified, Wizard of Words.
In voice chat, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, we obviously stay in touch over Twitter and all that jazz. Yeah, how's your channel going?
All right. It's still staying kind of mainly just a hobby because of the work in real life. But I mean, other than that, yeah, it's fine by my standards. Like I said, if we gotten to where now, I just like the feeling of getting my videos done like a week ahead of time.
Right.
When I can. Right. And then there's other times where it's like, oh, sorry, we need you to go on a business trip for 2 weeks. So it's like, dang.
Yeah, it's work definitely gets in the way of making videos for sure. So.
Oh, for sure. How about you, man? How you been?
It's a grind, but I really enjoy. Just got out of school, which is nice.
Nice.
And I'm working full time, and it's a grind. Most jobs are when you start and all that stuff. But it's exciting. Looks like we got a couple of people in the chat. Got a Luigi King. He's probably one of my top fans at the moment. He's doing really well. But yeah. Anyways, yeah. I just wanted to bring you on and just talk ghost stories. What are your thoughts on ghost stories?
Like real ones or ones that are just generally kind of about paranormal stuff? Because that's kind of what I usually focus on, is more of the stuff that's kind of a little more fantastical. The true ghost stories, sometimes there's really good ones, and then sometimes there's like, we'd always hear a noise or see a shadow person. And for those, I feel like, I don't know, those could be a little more explained. I personally, if you have a ghost story, I kind of like for it to be something that stands out. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm actually pretty skeptical. I'm a word that means I don't believe pretty heavily. But I believe there's something out there. I like to see proof. And when you say, you know what I mean, like when your story is, oh, I used to hear noises at night, and I feel like that was a ghost. Yeah, there's that. So I don't know. When it comes to a ghost story, I got to be, like first few moments captured in the story.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting with that, just because, whenever I hear anything at night, my first thought is like, oh, it's a ghost, or it's a burglar. But, ghost stories are my favorite, just because, like, there's just such a wide variety of them. And some of them are just downright spooky. Have you heard the Dear David one?
I believe so. That was the one that was sort of like a Twitter thing, right?
Yeah, that one was kind of weird. I mean, it was different, and I thought that was really cool because it had that modern aspect of updates through Twitter. It had the pictures, and it definitely felt like a real event that someone was posting about, and it was very, very spooky. I mean, it definitely freaked me out at first.
Oh yeah.
What's a good ghost story that you heard recently, or not even recently, but you've heard that you really liked?
There was a one that was made up. I think it was called "The Ghost That Lived in My House Saved My Life." That one was a no sleep story. You know, they're all supposedly true in quotes.
Right.
That one was pretty neat. I'll go ahead and spoil it. Essentially, this dude grows up in a house where there's a friendly ghost named Pat, which he like sees full body apparitions of. Then he grows up, you know, believing the paranormal and starts doing the paranormal investigation. And then a negative spirit follows him home and possesses him. But his boy Pat comes in and saves the day with a literal spirit bomb.
Oh wow, a spirit bomb?
Oh yeah, that's the only way I can really describe it.
Okay, spirit bomb.
The other one was one that I just kind of like because it's essentially what I do whenever I feel like there may or may not be a ghost. Essentially, there was someone who just purchased a new home, and they had a sort of attic bedroom, and they would always hear like noises, like someone was dragging themselves along the floor or laughing up there, just kind of generally making ruckus.
Right.
And they would always just sort of like take a broom and like hit the ceiling and just yell to keep it down up there.
Right.
And in a sense, just treat them like noisy teenage neighbors.
Oh jeez. Well, that's one way to go about it. I mean, that's kind of what they are. They don't pay rent.
Yeah. That's exactly right. That's what I said. Whenever I believe there's a ghost, I just sort of just yell out, "You don't pay rent. You don't pay bills."
Right.
And if all else fails, you threaten to coat your fist in holy water and just start swinging until you feel contact.
Right. I heard another good bit of advice with ghosts is you get naked, and then if they stay, then you just call them gay, you know?
Yeah.
There's that, you know?
Just aggressively taking a position in T-pose.
Right, it's like this is in your hands now. Wherever this goes, you know, it's on to you. And you know, things take an interesting turn. You can press for sexual harassment charges down the line, and
exactly. And then you just take that ghost's entire state,
and then you
boom.
shame them. You shame them off any platform. You get them off Twitter. You get them off of you know, make a public. They have to do public apologies, and
they lose a lot of followers on Twitter. It's all over for them.
Right. Yeah, you know, well, here's the thing. It's like, what I think are so interesting about ghost stories is they're my favorite stories. But what's so interesting about them is, like, if you, like, I talked about this a little bit last night, but if you look at it scientifically, you know, ghosts, you can't really quantify ghosts in a way. Like, there's no, I mean, you have pictures and you have EVPs and you have all this stuff, but you can't, you know, say this is definitely from a ghost. And you know, that's what it is, but there's so many different accounts, so many different experiences, so many stories that people have gone through, and, you know, those things can vary, but, you know, I think just based on experiences and stories alone, I feel like there's overwhelming amount of evidence about ghost stories, but at the same time, it's like you can't physically provide anything that you can definitely say is a ghost, and that to me, I think, is such a great area to build stories off of, and, you know, because there's such plausibility with it, but at the same time, it's like, you know, it can't be definitely real.
Yeah, I'm sort of in the same boat. I'm sure there's probably something more out there, but I wouldn't say it's, you know, like the 1800s to 1700s wearing outfits and rattling chains and, you know, making the lights go on and off. I don't think that's it at all.
Right.
I don't know. At the very least, it's a great case study for mass hysteria.
Right. It's definitely interesting, and it's I feel like every culture has a good story, and I feel like a lot of good narrators have a favorite story, and I don't really know what your style is of stories. But whenever I am making stories with ghost stories, you know, I like to find the elements that are the most terrifying, and you know, it's with the paranormal. I feel like it could be, what's the most terrifying aspect of it is that, you know, you can't really defend yourself against them. Like, they could be anywhere, you know. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a ghost. It could be like a demon or, you know, something evil, like, you know, like an evil spirit or something. Because I feel like with ghosts, it's like, oh, it's a dead person, you know, or it's my pet that passed away. But it's like, you know, you kind of get into the darker stories of, like, demons and stuff like that. It definitely gets exciting.
Yeah, but at the very least, if not, if you get killed, then you become a ghost and you fight them in the afterlife.
Right. You know, and then you're back. Then you can know for sure, right? So.
Yeah, exactly.
So let me ask you this, Maskino. What are your favorite types of stories?
Like, it kind of changes up. I definitely like the sort of creepypasta ones where you know it's kind of fake, but I don't know. I haven't really gotten too into true horror stories just yet. Because I'm really not sure. There's a few sort of smaller videos I made just because I wanted to make them, but other than that, I kind of like the I can't think of them. Ritual ones are usually all right. Some of them are a little less, but some of them are pretty good. There's also a few of them that I like. That's honestly, there's not a lot that I can think of that's like specifically ghost ones, but something more paranormal, possibly like you said, a demon or something. But
right. Well, they don't even have to
really.
They don't even have to be paranormal. You know, what are your favorite scary stories?
Oh, just scary stories in general.
Yeah.
I honestly, I love a good sort of dark comedy. But I also love a good story that has like very good sort of character dialogue back and forth.
Okay. So
those for me are personally more fun to narrate because I can kind of really change positions and, you know, sort of work out like both two different characters at once and try to bring the interaction to life. So that's fun as a voice actor to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're onto something there. I mean, I think there are different levels of storytelling, and I think mine's very, not necessarily elementary, but I to me a good story is pretty straightforward, and I like character development, I like good dialogue and all that good jazz, but I just like a good story. Here are the cut facts, and some of the people I really enjoy listening to are Let's Read. Like he's got some great stories, and he's obviously been on the platform for some time. But I think I listen to him just about every night.
Yeah, he's kind of got a pretty soothing tone. I'm gonna be a little honest here. Mm-hmm. I'll put on people's stuff in the background and stuff, but I haven't watched them. Like when, if I'm doing like a game or something, there's a few times I might put on a horror narration, but usually I put on a podcast about current events or something else.
Right.
Gonna just kind of stay in the loop on that. I usually fall asleep to horror narrations if I can, but
right.
Yeah, it's kind of a toss up. So I feel bad because I'm like, oh yeah, I watched your video, but I really just contributed a few.
Right. I don't remember much of it, but that's fine. I'm kind of there with you. I kind of format my videos to be very, very easy to not pay attention to. Like I have very long videos that are, skinwalker videos, ghost stories or whatever, that are meant for people doing stuff. You don't have to watch it as long as it's on. I'm happy. So.
Oh yeah. I think that's the biggest appeal of these is that they're pretty. What's the name of them? Pretty easy to just kind of zone out to.
Right.
They're good white noise.
Yeah.
I will say, there's a few people that I've listened to that I didn't enjoy their style because it's so monotone.
Right.
It's hard to even really keep it on even as background noise at that point. And
right.
I'm sorry, I just don't like it.
Right. Do you prefer male narrators or female narrators?
I can't really say for certain. I I don't want to say one of the over the other. I think there's just more male narrators.
Right.
Because I only know like so basically it's like 4 or 5 female narrators.
Right.
There's Pumpkin Queen, Penny Tails Up, Lady Spucaria, Mistress of Creepypasta, Raven Reeds, I think
Raven Reeds,
is her name.
yeah. Yeah, Gothic Rose.
And Gothic Rose, yes.
Deadly Floor.
And a little bit of Fleshwad.
Spirit Voices.
Oh, that's right. I haven't talked to Spirit Voices in a while. I haven't seen her stuff like pop up.
She really goes into the really deep and very heavy dialogue stories that have a lot of depth to them. She does great with those.
Yeah, I was just wondering what happened to her because, like, I thought I remember she said about something about school, but I haven't seen her in a while. So.
Right.
I was just afraid she gave up the ghost.
Gave up, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's if you don't have a passion for it, it's very easy to fall behind.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of the newer people, when they message me, they're like, "Can I get some tips and stuff?" I'm like, just do it because you like it, not because it's going to get you a lot of views or anything.
What topic do you think's gotten you the most views?
My most views is literally from a meme one that I made. It was like 3 troll pasta ones. Like I think 2 of them were about one of them was about Doom, and 2 of the other ones were just like and then there was skeletons, and I forgot the third one. But quite honestly, like very short, horribly written. I think at one point I couldn't even keep like a straight face, so you can hear me laughing a little bit as I'm reading it.
Right.
And it gets like 600 views and counting.
Oh wow.
And I haven't been able to capture the magic since. I don't know what's up. I don't change my tags that much. I haven't done too much else in terms of thumbnails. It just for some reason they did that. And funnily enough, I got a comment on it recently too, from someone who said, "Wow, you're so unoriginal. I can't believe you're stealing stories. You need to be more like Corpse Husband." I was like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, people, it's funny. it's funny looking at hate mail. I always crack up because it's like over the most trivial stuff. Like,
oh, for real.
People want you to be different. People want you to be the same. People want this. It's like, it's whatever makes the narrator happy. It's whatever you make that makes you happy, and whatever you put out, that's what it is. I'm all for suggestions, but if it's just you don't like something and you don't offer a suggestion to that, then it's like, what more do you want from me?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, I think that's hilarious. Who are your top favorite narrators right now?
Right now,
if you had 3.
3. Okay. I gotta say, I love. I can actually break down my top 3. There's a lot of other good things I could say about the guys I've worked with in the past, but I really like Mad Chatter for one.
Oh my gosh, so good.
Yeah,
the
good. dude's an excellent voice actor for real.
Yeah.
And it's always a joy hearing him. First of all, he can do accents. I can't do accents.
Can he do accents?
I'm
I didn't
jealous.
know that.
Yes, I'm jealous because I cannot do accents. I can only do me and slightly more southern me, and that is it.
Aren't you southern though? Aren't you southern?
I am.
Okay.
I am.
So
I don't have a strong accent, and people tell me that all the time, unless they're from like Canada or somewhere.
Okay.
Then they're like, "You sound like Andrew Lincoln from The Walking Dead when he plays the sheriff."
Right.
I'm like, okay, thanks.
I met him, by the way. Do you know that?
No, is he as cool as a dude as I
he's a
wanted
British
him to be?
dude.
I know, yeah, I know he's British, but I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
is he a cool dude?
He's cool. It totally caught me off guard. I gotta send you a
Did you-
picture. I'm gonna send you a picture.
Did you assume that him being British would make him uncool to me?
No. I didn't realize. I didn't know he was British until I met him, and I was like, what's this dude's problem? And then I was like, wait.
Oh no, for real. That caught me off guard too. Because I like to listen to people who do Southern accents and kind of
Right.
nitpick a little bit,
Right.
just because I grew up having to hear it all the time.
Right.
And for real, the dude, he nails it.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Oh, we got Matt Chatter here. We were just bragging about him.
Well,
He must have heard us.
speak of the devil, yeah, he heard us bragging. All right, we got to talk smack about him.
we got. Oh, that guy.
All right, this dude, he showed up as Obi-Wan Kenobi one time. Don't know why. Thought he was cool. Literally, we're just hanging out in a museum, and he just keeps going, "Hello there," showing off his accents like he's a cool dude. Gosh. I'm just messing with him though.
Yeah. Okay, so who are your other two? Your other two favorite?
Other two. I like him. I gotta say another one that I really enjoy. And this is, I'm just kind of picking on the low end here a little bit. Is Lucid. I kind of like the old style radio show. The Finch Arbuckle show is pretty neat in my opinion. I like it.
Okay.
And the dude also does a lot of different voices and stuff. He's got a good range. So I really enjoy him. And I like I don't know. I just kind of like the setup that he's got, where it's like the Arbuckle show, where there's a bit of a back and forth between the characters, and then usually there's like a narration or something. That's a pretty straightforward formula, and it just works. And then of course, my good buddy Mr. Creepypasta, still the OG.
Oh yeah.
When you got it, you got it.
No kidding.
But in public, I will always take any chance I can to humiliate him. So the man likes feet, and I'm gonna spill the beans here now.
Well, I mean, what can you say that hasn't already been said?
He likes feet.
All right. Well, there you go.
That is it. There it is. The expose.
I mean, long as the world knows, your job's been done.
That's right. I've humiliated my friends, and now they must know they can never become my enemies.
Right. Well, I gotta tell you. So you obviously know this. I have like that very close group of narrators that we chat with. I feel like a very just unappreciated narrator, and just kind of just undiscovered in my opinion, is Monsters in My Mind. I feel like his voice is it's just got a spooky voice, like, and it's like it's not spooky, but it's like a normal person, and it's got just a little, like, it's just got a perfect, like, just that sound range or whatever it is and it's really good. And I really like his stories. I think he does a great job, and he's only got a very not a small amount of subscribers, but I definitely think he's underappreciated. But I definitely have to go with him. I think he does a great job. I mean, there's so many that do a great job, and it's just hard to compete with people like like Let's Read or Lazy Masquerade. Those are probably my other two. But I mean, definitely strong, good shout-outs. I would say Deadly Clover. I listen to her whenever she puts stuff out. I listen to it immediately. Like that's how you know you have a good, YouTubers. Whenever they put stuff out and you watch it immediately, like that's, even when I put stuff out, I'm like, I'm not watching that right now. Like, I'm gonna wait. But I mean, her, Deadly, Wolf's Campfire, I feel like does a great job. He puts out a lot of good content.
He does.
I really like people I've worked with. I've really enjoyed is like Bad Vibes. I think he's just a cool dude all around.
He is. He was one of the first people to actually promote me when I got started. When I got started, I wish I could say words. So that was kind of how I got introduced to him, is because he had essentially shouted me out, and I was like, oh, okay. And he subscribed to me, and I looked at his stuff, and I subscribed to him because that was generally really good. So
Yeah, yeah, he does a lot of good stuff. And then what do you call being scared? I feel like his voice is probably the spookiest. I mean, he's got that deep, rich voice, and his stories. I remember his first story I listened to, and it was a spooky story. And I don't know, I don't even care if it was real or not, but I watched it, and I was listening to it at night. And I remember having to get up and getting a snack because I was falling asleep to it because it was it was so good to listen to, and I wanted to keep listening. But I mean, his stuff's really good. I think and it shows. I mean, he's got almost 200,000 subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you think about? What are your thoughts on like creepypastas? Like, I feel like I remember when Slender Man came out. Like, what are your thoughts on like the different creepypastas? Like, with like Siren Head. Like, I think there comes a point where it's like that just is comical to me. Siren Head.
To a point, they are essentially the new monsters of this generation.
Right.
Excuse me, I didn't mean to do that. They're I said, like, every generation sort of has their boogeyman, and
right.
First there was like the Wolfman, you got Dracula, Nosferatu, stuff like that, and then it goes, and you got Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers, Ghostface, killers like that.
Right.
And now we're up to Slenderman, Jeff the Killer, and all the stories are not that great. I mean, let's face it, a lot of the movies we grew up with are pretty campy and cheesy too in their own way.
Right.
I think it's really just that the medium has changed,
Right.
in ages like this one of technology where things just can go viral, even the most random of things sometimes.
Right.
And people will latch onto it, and even sometimes years later, it suddenly becomes popular out of nowhere for whatever reason.
Yeah.
It's interesting, and I think, like you said, the old ones will kind of fade away a little bit. They'll still be around. They'll just kind of fade out a little bit. Then we'll get more sort of like Siren Head. And I admit, when I first saw the Siren Head thing, I was like, I mean, it's drawn well. It's kind of spooky. I'll never say I was like afraid of it.
Right.
And not to mention but the internet latched onto it, and they rode off with it, because I mean, he started off as just kind of like I think he was like 8 foot tall siren kind of dude, and now he's like 48 foot tall behemoth that stalks the forest. So
right.
It's like I said, it's one of those things you never really know. You could make something, and like I said, like my video earlier, I just make a funny haha meme video, and that people just run off with it for whatever reason.
Right. I mean, I remember when Slender Man came out. That to me was the first creepypasta, whatever, that I remember listening to or hearing about, and I legit thought it was real. Like, I was in high school at the time, and I legit thought it was real, and it freaked me out because it had the pictures in the background, and the kids on the playground,
Mm-hmm.
and with the red circles circling it and all that. I remember listening to it, and it's like, oh, if you think about them or if you talk about them, then it makes it worse, and it makes them come towards you. And I was like, man, why? That's some spooky stuff. And I remember that being, kind of the big thing. But I remember, I think Jeff the Killer, that was like before I even knew what YouTube was. Like, I didn't really listen to YouTube until I was like, like Slenderman time. And I remember that was like my senior year in high school. So that was about 2012, 2011 for me.
I gotcha.
Yeah, but I think Jeff the Killer was a little bit before that, wasn't it?
Jeff the Killer. I want to say he was. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he sort of just started off as like a quick one-off like 4chan story, and then someone took the image and ran with it. I don't know. I think someone actually came forward as the guy who wrote it, the original one.
Right.
And was all like, "Oh, I just kind of wrote it for fun," but with it essentially being a power fantasy for edgy 13-year-olds, they like it. I think that's what really kind of helped it out. That I mean, horror is especially a very niche sort of I guess community and interest, especially I would say for being a younger audience member.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was like, I guess just representation was like, oh, I'm 13 and I feel like an outcast and blah blah blah. But like I said, I think no matter how bad the stories are, they're gonna essentially just kind of live on a little bit as essentially a nostalgia trip. That's something that we grew up with.
Right.
So.
Did you ever? I remember, the Russia Sleep. I remember there's like 4 really big stories that really started it. It was like the Russia Sleep Experiment, Jeff the Killers, Squidward's Suicide, and then there was like another one I can't remember.
That Drowned.
Oh, yeah.
That one's actually a generally good one. I'll say that one. But that one separates itself a little bit due to the fact that I'd say that it also had its accompanying AGR or ARG. I keep saying AGR. ARG to go with it to kind of keep it a little more feeling realistic.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
I just oh yeah, Suicide Mouse was another one.
Suicide Mickey, yeah.
So that was like I said, I think just the mediums changed, like I said, and with that, there's
Smile Dog. That was the other one. That was another one I remember.
That was honestly, I think that's a good example of what I was about to get into. Is that with, like I said, we live in a time where you can spread something around, and even the most minute, off the wall thing can catch on for some reason or another and transform.
Right.
And if you remember, that was essentially what the story was about. Was like, at the end it's like, I'm telling the story because I need to tell someone so that way I don't get dog murdered. And now you know it too.
Dog murdered. That's
yes.
awesome. That's not your average murder. That's just you got your dog.
This
murder.
isn't regular murder.
Right.
This is advanced murder.
You don't die the same way. No, it's a different kind of death. Yeah, that's funny. I'm trying to think. I remember Momo was really big, and I remember that was really funny to me because there were so many people's parents that were like, you can't look at these videos, you can't, like, there was such pushback, and just because of that, I feel like that made it more like, the forbidden aspect of it, like, it made it more desirable. But it was, I mean, it's like, I don't even know the real premise of the story. It's
well, it started off, it was like an art project from someone in Japan. Right. And then obviously I think honestly the same thing with the Jeff the Killer thing, where they put a story with a photo and the internet ran with it, and there you go, it caught on big. I really think the only true reason that one was a little more scrutinized than some of the other ones that have come out when it was starting to get big was because of and it's unfortunate, but it's something that happened in reality, was the Slenderman case.
Yeah.
With the 12-year-old girls.
Right.
I think that's a prime example of taking something made up and innocent and pushing it, into reality when it should have just stayed in fantasy.
Right. Well, and I think there comes a point, even with anything, if you focus on it and you become infatuated with an idea and you do whatever you want to make it happen, I think that's when you come across issues.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think for me, I just enjoy being scared. Like, I enjoy a good scary story, and I enjoy being out of my comfort zone in that. Like, there's a difference of like, there's a difference of being like terrified. Like I'm terrified of heights. Like I wouldn't just go climb a tall building just to get scared, but, you know, because there's nothing about that that's enjoyable for me. But, you know, talking about ghost stories or listening to ghost stories as I go to bed, or, you know, being out in the woods and a campfire and, you know, hearing things, you know, walk around me at night, you know, that to me is enjoyable. Like, I think that's fun.
Yeah. I've always kind of enjoyed horror stuff too. I more or less grew up with the 80s movies, like, you know, the slashers and stuff.
Right.
And those are always fun to watch. But I don't know, I just never really, it's one of those things I didn't grow out of. I might have messed myself up because I don't find too much like actually horrifying now, or I guess spooky or scary.
Yeah.
You know, except for the concept of growing older.
The concept of never being enough. Yeah. No,
The true horror
I
of
think-
realizing you don't know how to do your taxes properly.
Right. Yeah. you owe us money, but you have to come up with a number, and you can't be wrong.
You owe us money because you don't have enough money to owe us.
Right. Because you're breathing. Well, I think that the 80s was the golden era of horror to me. Just because I enjoy the slashers. Like, nowadays I feel like things are more psychological in terms of horror. Or, like, they're just, like, different concepts of horror. Like, Bird Box, for instance. Like, to me, that movie would be so much more scary if there was, like, because I feel like, now, I went back and I read up on it, and, like, there was a physical creature, but in the movie, the way they presented it, it seemed more of, like, a cosmic being. Like, it would just appear out of, like, the wind. Like, it was, like, just this entity. Like, it wasn't, like a thing that could, like, touch you or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like, to me, I feel like that would be even scarier, is you couldn't look at it or else you'd kill yourself. But also that it could, like, also eat you if you didn't look at it. So you'd still have to run away, you know? Because, you know, you could just gouge your eyes out and you'd be fine for the rest of your life, right?
Or just be blind.
Or just be, yeah, I mean, that's essentially, yeah, I mean, it's just things like that. I feel like there's, you know, there's just, with that, like, I think I watched a video on it, it's called, you know, the issues or whatever with, cosmic horror, but I mean, it's definitely more, it's a different concept, and it's interesting to see it being implemented.
One gripe I have is a lot of people think cosmic horror, oh, we gotta make giant fish thing that makes you go crazy. No, the point of cosmic horror is that you are so small and insignificant that no matter the suffering that you will endure, it will not matter. It's the absolute futility of existence. But people like, haha, fish monster, go rawr.
Right.
So
Right.
that's just my gripe. So
Right. I mean, I think right now, I think I don't know why it is, and Luigi King's bringing it up in the chat, but one of my, I think, my most popular genres that I cover is skinwalkers. And I feel like that has just enough, it's got a little bit of both paranormal and cryptid and, like, physical horror, to where it's like, I feel like it covers those bases for me. Like, it's this creature that can shape into anything, it can, you know, mimic anything, look like anything, but it's also, you know, quote unquote a person. And I think that's really fascinating. And then I didn't realize this until I think a couple months ago. Oh my background sound, I gotta restart it. I didn't realize this until a couple months ago, but you can kill skinwalkers by identifying the person and calling it its name. I had no idea.
Huh.
Isn't that interesting?
that is. I've noticed that skinwalkers seem to be like everyone's sort of go-to favorite thing for one reason or another. all I could really say is that I think it's that sort of fear of familiarity being taken away from you. That's the best sort of logic I can put behind it. Other than that, I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. I
But-
think for one, I think they have a cool name, like Skinwalker. That's a good name. That's a
It
good.
is a good one.
But I think it. I don't know. I think people kind of have like a fascination. I know I did with like cryptid creatures. Like I remember when I was little, I was obsessed with like Bigfoot and the Loch Ness monster and the Mothman. Like I thought that was so cool that there was this cool creature out in the woods, capable of killing you or harassing you or assaulting you if you're out camping. Like that to me, like going out camping and thinking that you were perfectly safe, like that's not fun for me. Like I like to feel like something out there could possibly eat me. Like that's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just kind of how I feel about it. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I think I've always kind of gone camping on my own, and I think that what also kind of spooked me is like I've never gone camping alone. I've always had one or a few other people go with me.
Right.
So whenever whenever they would go off and come back, and they were, like, well, if they were just sort of slightly off, and you kind of notice it, but you don't have enough to like really break it down. I don't know, that kind of really gets to me because it's like, oh, this is someone I know, but it's not. And they're actually, you know what? I just remembered this because I'm what you would call a doctor.
Fascinating.
I'm kidding. So there actually is a mental illness, and I wish I could remember the name of it. I believe it starts with a C, but it essentially means that you believe one or multiple people in your life have been replaced with basically a copy or an imposter,
Like a mimic or a clone.
Yeah, like from what I remember, they never can tell like how they know the people who suffer. They just know like somewhere deep inside of them, they just know, and that's what they cling to, and they'll think that there's some of them think, oh, I'm in the wrong house, or my wife is not my wife, or my mother is not my mother, it's someone else, stuff like that. And it's weird because it could be brought on by just an atrophying of the brain, tumors, or traumatic brain injury. And it could completely, throw your life upside down.
Right.
One guy was in a car accident, and he honestly, every morning he wakes up, he has to be taken outside because he believes he's waking up in the wrong apartment. Really? And every couple of hours, his memory will basically reset. And he'll think, oh, I'm not in I'm not in my house anymore.
That kind of reminds me. There's a thing, I covered it on a video that I think I took down, but I covered urban legends, and there was one called the Wendigo psychosis, and that is literally when people have the desire to consume human flesh. And that's
I've heard of that one.
That's a real thing. Okay, I got a quick question. It looks like Luigi King's got a question for me. He said, Entropic, do you believe in skinwalkers? That's a fascinating question. And it's a two-part question, I feel, or a two-part answer, I should say. Firsthand, I have a hard time believing that kind of thing. Just because of I'm kind of a realist in a way. But on the second hand, I do believe that there are people out there that do meddle with magic or with dark forces, and that they are capable of doing dark things. And whether that does that mean that they can turn into a werewolf or a creature or whatever, I'm not sure. But I do think there are people out there that can summon forces to that can do something very similar. So the answer would be yes or no to that, I think. Yeah, I mean that's kind of, yeah. I think and Teratoxa here, he's saying it's fear of anyone you know being replaced by an inhuman monster makes that scary to him, and I think that's interesting. Have Maskino, have you seen the movie The Thing?
I have.
I think that kind of embodies a little bit of the Skinwalker fascination, because it's like it could be anyone, and you don't, it's like, how well do you know your friends? It's the small little mannerisms or the little things that they do. Is that going to be able to save your life if you didn't know if that was your friend or not?
Oh yeah, that's definitely horrifying. Like, what little thing about this person will you remember that may save your life? But also, Terra Talk, to answer your question about schizophrenia, or is it something more specific? It can be brought on by paranoid schizophrenics, or in paranoid schizophrenics, but it's not completely connected to that. It could be, like I said, just brought on by brain injury or something else.
I think that's scary. I mean, that can happen at any moment. I mean, you wake up wrong, you bonk your head, you view the world a different way. That could be forever.
Yeah, it's rough. I didn't have a brain injury, but I've gotten into a car crash, and it basically broke my back.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. So there's a lot of change that came with it, but I mean, I got pretty lucky. I still have all my mental faculties, and I can still walk and move my limbs. So,
I'm glad you're okay, man. That's intense.
Oh, it's been a minute since this happened, but I appreciate it.
Okay, not to shift gears on you, but kind of along the same lines of what Luigi King asked me. What are your thoughts on aliens?
I believe there's got to be life out there. I don't know. I feel like it may not be anywhere near us, but with the universe being as large as it is, I'm sure there's something out there. If it's nothing more than plant and bacteria, I could believe it. And it may not ever be in our lifetime, but I mean, few million years, you never know. There could be something that sprouts legs and comes out of the primordial soup. So.
Right. I asked this question knowing that this is like a topic for a different stream, like entirely, just because I could easily talk about this for another hour, but I mean obviously I won't. But I definitely think there are aliens, and not only that, but I definitely believe that not only are we in contact with them, but we are on somewhat good communications, and I think even to some degree work together. Do I have any proof, or do I have any documentaries or anything to prove that? No, but I definitely, I've done a little bit of research on the YouTube conspiracy rabbit hole, and I've definitely saw some things. Actually, I take that back. There is a documentary on Netflix I recommend. It's I forget what's the name of it. It's Bob Lazar. If you type in Bob Lazar, it'll take you to it. But it's this documentary about this guy that worked at Area 51, and he talked about all the ships he worked on and all the things that he saw, and it's actually quite a fascinating documentary. Just because during the documentary he gets raided a couple of times by the FBI, for random reasons.
Ooh.
And he has like a chemistry shop where he has like different elements and things like that. And he claimed that he had one of the alien elements. And when he claimed that, the FBI was at his door the next day. You know, it's like they're wiretapping him or whatever. Like they want to silence him. But
I gotcha.
I mean, I think with that and UFO sightings, I think now granted most UFO sightings are probably just military aircraft that they can't disclose to the public, but I definitely think some of them are that. But I definitely know, and even recently, even military reports have come out where they had UFOs declassified, UFO reports declassified to the public, saying, yeah, we don't know what's going on. There are these fighter pilots that, they're being outmaneuvered and, not outgunned, but, outchased.
Just to go down this slight little tangent about conspiracy theories, but first we'll stick to the aliens one. So, think about it like this. You have like SpaceX and all these other companies that are, getting ready, really pushing for entering into space. And all of a sudden, as the closer we get to this becoming a reality and more stuff's being sent up there, suddenly the government starts dropping, oh, well, we're releasing these videos of UFOs and stuff now. We don't know what they are. We're just kind of throwing them out there. One theory that I'm kind of holding to, I'm not going to say it's for certain, but I'm kind of holding to, is that at the very least, the government knows on some level that, there's something out there.
Right.
Because, the timing just kind of seems a little funny. So at the very, if someone goes to space, they can't say they found proof of life. The government can just be like, oh, well, we knew forever. We found it first. It's all ours. So
I
that's
think
that's just what I think is a good conspiracy theory.
Well, put it this way. Think about it this way: think about if you were a government official, what would happen to your citizens, your people that you govern, if you told them this huge, not necessarily secret, but you tell them this huge thing, and how do you expect them to react? The whole purpose of government, just to be clear, is to basically just to please everyone into conformity. It's to literally to govern, as in to make sure not everyone's rioting all the time.
Oh yeah.
And so, if you drop this bombshell, oh, there are these things out there. We have no idea what they are. We don't know what they're capable of. We don't know what kind of weaponry they have or anything like that. But if they're out there, it's going to cause panic. So, your first instinct, at least my first instinct, is to try to suppress that as much as you can.
Oh yeah. Like I said, I would not be surprised if it's been going on since the 50s. But you've got, like I said, SpaceX and all these other private companies launching stuff into space. You got the Space Force being assembled as a new branch, and they're promoting, hey, don't worry, you'll get to see some action in space someday because your place isn't on the planet. Like I'm saying, it's feeling like it's kind of lining up, like something's going to get announced pretty big.
I think it was either this year or last year. They definitely, I think they confirmed in the press, like, yeah, UFOs are a thing. Like, I know before they, you look at Roswell and all that jazz. They hardcore were like, yeah, what are you talking about? That's crazy. It's weather balloon. What are you talking about?
It's a weather balloon. Don't question anything, or you'll have to go away for a while. Okay?
Yeah. It's definitely now I saw, now this is gonna blow your mind. Now kind of tie back into what we were talking about earlier. Now with that in mind, I saw this on a newspaper article when I was very little, but make the connection, like because I always kind of separate the different genres of horror. I kind of separate slashers and paranormal and gore and all that stuff. But imagine for just a moment. Because the newspaper article I saw was like, ghost aliens seen on a highway. Now, do you think that if aliens were real, do you think that they have ghosts?
I I really don't know. I mean, if it works for us, maybe. But I'll take my Warhammer 40k stance of no, they're filthy Xeno scum.
Yeah, I just think that's an interesting concept.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure. And who knows? Maybe that was who was reaching out to us after Roswell was the ghost of the crashed aliens.
Well, think about like what if we did stuff in space? Would there be ghosts in space? Like, you never think of like ghosts in space. Like, I think about that kind of.
No, well, we've had zombies in space.
Yeah, that's. I'm trying to think what else I was watching that was kind of interesting. Yeah, it's Yeah, what's another topic?
Can I just real fast
Oh yeah,
talk
go
about
ahead. Go ahead.
my favorite conspiracy theory
Yeah, let's hear it.
because it's so dumb. My favorite, absolute favorite one is that the government is hiding a second sun from everyone
Like
by using chemtrails and airplanes.
right.
That's hilarious to me. And a lot of the times their reason for belief is that, oh, well, I could see two reflections of the sun off of my car. Yeah, because that's two separate surfaces.
Yeah,
And
that's you'd be surprised. I mean, that actually surprises me. People are like that.
yeah, like I was like, oh, this is a joke. There's no way. This is a haha funny meme.
Right.
But it wasn't.
Right. Let me ask you this: what are your thoughts on Hollow Earth? Have you heard of that?
That there's like a untouched Earth inside the center.
Right.
Um, I don't, I don't think I believe that. I'm sure there's a lot of nifty underground, sort of, ecosystems and stuff that we'll probably never truly be able to see. But I don't believe there's like a second Earth inside.
Right. Like, you don't think there's a different, like a different climate down there with different animals and with a different, like a different heat source or something?
Yeah, no, I don't believe there's a journey to the center of the Earth ordeal going on.
Okay. What is the most believable conspiracy theory out there?
Other than the aliens one, I'm trying to think. Like I said, a lot of the ones that I really sort of follow are the ones that are just undeniably dumb and very verifiably false.
Right. Those are the
Uh,
best ones, though.
yes,
in my
that's
mind.
because it's just so much. It's just so much fun to make
Right.
fun of people. Um, but no, I would have to say it probably the extraterrestrials for real. Uh,
Yeah.
there's that's just really the most believable one I could think of. That's legit far fetched. Like I said, there's other ones like the fact that it's like the JFK assassination ones, stuff like that are more.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't know.
just that's freaky in my mind. Like, that's. Well, let me ask you this. What do you think about like what's it called? Doppelgangers. Have you heard about people experiencing doppelgangers and other people seeing your doppelganger and what that means and stuff like that?
Oh yeah. All you got to do is make sure you kill them before they kill you. However, you can sleep with your doppelganger. Okay. Just make sure that you are able to kill them first,
Okay.
because right after they will try to kill you.
Interesting. Yeah. I yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on like astral projection? Do you think that's a thing?
I don't know if you'd. I would say you probably. I don't know if you go to like another plane or what, but at the very least, there's something to it to a point where you can kind of. I don't know. I guess an outer body experience is the right way to put it, but it's more like uh, a psychological kind of trip. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like going and taking some hallucinogenics or something like that. People say they have very profound experiences, but in reality, it's just it's just a trip, all concocted in your mind while it's very unaware and unsure of what to do.
Right.
So
Yeah, I think I you know yeah I don't know. I think that's interesting. I'm trying to think. I don't know of any other good conspiracy. Well, what about? Do you think? Let me ask you this: do you think that the government has? Uh, what do you? I mean, I feel like most conspiracies are kind of tied up with aliens. I mean, you got the reptilian society. You've got you know flat, not necessarily flat earthers, but just like things like that. I feel like everything can kind of be tied back to aliens for the most part.
probably. Like I said, I believe at the very least there's something going on. Just I wouldn't know if it's I wouldn't say 100% there's sentient life out there, but who knows? It could be, very much could be.
Right. Yeah. I'm trying to think. Do you think that? Let me ask you this: do you think cloning? Do you think the government clones people, or?
You know what? I believe that could be a thing. I mean, we've had the sort of know-how for a while to at least clone body parts,
Right.
and some of that, and we're not working on. I don't know. That was said to be unethical, I believe, or something like that, and they were just like, no, let's just not do that. I guess I would say cloning full people, probably not, but we have the abilities to clone body parts, and why isn't that being used to for skin grafts and stuff like that? I get that it may reject it, but
Right.
you know what I mean. I feel like there was just a sort of like, oh look, we can clone these sheep, and we can clone an ear on the back of this rat and stuff like that. And
That's freaky.
yeah, and then all of a sudden, hey, this is unethical. We're going to stop it, and we're never going to talk about it again. It just gets shoved into a black box, and we're just supposed to forget about it.
That reminds me. Did you hear about that one guy that had? He had like he morphed with his twin or something, and he had his twin's face on the back of his head. Did you hear about that?
I think so. I don't know about morph, but it was essentially a Siamese twin.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's essentially what I was trying to get at. But I mean, it had a face. This guy had a face on the back of his head, and then he claimed that it sometimes would talk to him. That's just freaky, man.
No, that is freaky. That I really, like I said, I don't know. That really freaks me out. That in some way you could have someone attached to you who no one else can hear but you.
Mm-hmm.
That is pretty weird.
I don't know if that might even be a psychological thing, or if he actually physically did that. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Well, gee, man, I don't want to keep you too long. I already kept you for an hour. I remember you telling me you had a couple minutes. Is there anything you wanted to talk about? I felt like we touched on a lot of good stuff.
Off the top of my head, not entirely. I can spare a few more minutes if you still got something else. I just need to run to the restroom real fast.
Yeah, go ahead. I can just rant and talk about something. What do you call it? I did hear a really good. What was it? I mean, I've told people this before, but my favorite stories are ghost stories, and I like to make up a lot of them. But my most recent video, True Ghost Stories one, That one was, I like that. There's one story in there that actually happened to me that was really freaky. It was, I think it's, I can't remember if it's the first or second story I told, but my wife and I actually did stay with another family. Now it's, it's adapted, so I changed a couple of details, but I mean, for the most part, I mean, that's freaky. The whole, I don't know why it freaked me out, but like people with like different mental disabilities, like with Alzheimer's and dementia, being able to see different things, that kind of, for me, I don't know why it freaks me out though.
I am back.
Nice. Yeah, I was just telling him about my most recent video that I posted, my True Ghost Stories. I was just telling him about how we stayed with a family that one of the people there at the house we stayed at had dementia. It was very severe, but she'd always be able to, she'd like point and talk to things that were like not there. It kind of made me wonder. I was like, I guess there's something there, like, that she can see that I can't. And I kind of think about that with children too. Like, babies kind of have that same thing where you'll be talking to a baby and then it'll just stare off into a corner, and like its attention will be fixed on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I believe that's just something that is a sad reality. I don't think there's anything sort of out of the normal. Well, I guess maliciously or anything like that. I think it's just an unfortunate thing that is that could go wrong with our brains. It's weird how really just how fragile the body is, both resilient and extremely fragile to itself, and it's so weird looking over, like, we walk upright, so we are able to do a lot of nifty things and build great inventions and buildings and architecture, but 80% of adults will have chronic back pain. So
right. Let me ask you this. In terms of ghosts, do you think that ghosts have the ability to haunt people?
I would say yes. I believe it's not really tied to a place. I think it's just something that, if by all accounts of every movie, if it's something that is a strong emotional connection, then yes, I would say more than likely that person could be the source of the haunting or poltergeist or whatever term you want to use. Like I said, I'm pretty skeptical. I pretty much am a hard person to convince that they exist. Okay, look, you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna run with that. But yeah. So But yeah, I would say, like, if everything, going by the logic of media and stuff that I've seen, yeah, it's just more akin to what was that creature or ghost really attracted to emotionally. What did it have ties to in life?
So let me ask you this. So based on that, now this is kind of where it kind of ties, not necessarily a conspiracy theory, but this is my theory on this. So I've heard a bunch of people tell me that once they leave the United States, like they go to a different country, obviously, the paranormal activity there is just through the roof. Especially in Asia for some reason. Now this is my theory on this, okay? Is that America for the most part is a very new continent. There's not that many people that have lived there before. You have places like Asia, people have been living there for thousands of years. I think that all those deaths accumulate, and kind of what you're talking about with the different emotional tax that was there, that it ties those things there. So do you think that other countries are more haunted than the United States, would you say?
It's possible. I mean, there's some places that have a lot longer standing history. Uh, but like I said, I'm not sure. I mean, there's places. Like I said, I think it just again comes down to like an emotional connection. Like there's talks that the all around Gettysburg is like super haunted because
Right.
of the mass number of people that's died there. Um, there's usually like, oh, this is the place of like where a bunch of people commit suicide, so this is now a haunted hotel, stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Again, I guess it all just again comes down to, for whatever reason, if they died or they always enjoyed going there, or this, that, or the other. Again, I'm not. I feel like it's hard to believe because there's just. Like I said, I don't know. I just my final answer is I don't believe in ghosts for real.
Really?
I just believe that there's more after death, and that's about all I can say.
What would it what would it have to take for you to believe? Do you think? Is it something that would be it'd have to be a pretty traumatic experience, or is it just something that you're like, yeah, it's just not gonna happen?
I'd probably believe if I saw, maybe if I had the experience.
Right.
But I don't know. Other than that, unless I die and go through it, or
Right.
someone goes like, "I am a ghost. Now watch me fly through the wall."
Right.
Other than that, yeah.
Let me ask you this. So this is something I think is interesting because I was along that same mindset. But what are your thoughts on? Are you familiar with the Hat Man?
I don't believe so. No.
Essentially, it's just the sighting of a shadow person, if you will, and it always claims to have a hat. And everyone claims to see this guy with a hat, and all that stuff.
So it's a Team Fortress 2 player.
Pretty much.
There you go.
But it's like, I think it's interesting how people can have different accounts, but it can also, the accounts have the same description of different things. To have a hat is pretty vague, but it's like, I think there have been different accounts of, like the guy in the sleep, where it's like, have you seen this man in your sleep? It claims to visit people in their sleep, you know what I mean? I think that's, do you think that maybe that just the human mind just kind of generates just a very, like a default face, or like a default looking appearance to something, and that's what we see, or is there actually something?
Very much so. Our brains are designed to try and find the most familiar pattern and most human-looking thing. So,
right.
That's why I'm sure you've experienced before. But you look and you see something, and you go, "Oh, that kind of looks like a face."
Right.
It's really not. It's just your brain essentially telling you, "Hey, that looks kind of like a face." I recognize faces because we're herd animals, and we essentially socialize, and by default, it's just like, oh, okay, so I know that's human, therefore, there's essentially no predators around. Is
Right.
long and short of it.
Right.
So, it's a nifty little thing, because a lot of times, like, I'm sure you've seen it where it's like, you got a pile of clothes in your room or something like that. You turn off the lights. Now all of a sudden, it looks like someone's sitting there.
Right.
That's essentially what it is. It's just your brain trying to formulate it into a familiar shape. And funnily enough, people are a very familiar shape to the brain.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point, and I think that's something that that kind of gets overlooked with a little bit with like paranormal investigations.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, though, I like to think that they keep that in mind. But I don't know.
And if I remember correctly, the "Have you seen this man in your dreams before?" Was actually an experiment. The guy essentially made it up and was saying, "Oh, a bunch of people are saying they see this,
Right.
and then would ask people, and they'd be like, yeah, I think I have.
Now that you mention it, yeah.
Because if I remember correctly, it was just a very nondescript, sort of average-looking male face.
Right.
Just kind of thrown in there.
Right.
Because when you think about it, like, can you really remember every face you've ever seen?
That's the thing, and that's what freaks me out is, like, people, like, I hear, like, oh, you can't imagine a new face. But it's like, so every face I've ever imagined, I've seen before, but I'm like, there's no way. I don't know. It's like, you can't imagine, like, I can definitely imagine a new face, I feel like. Like, I feel like you just take parts of an old face I've seen.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't believe that it's your brain's just like, oh, you don't know how to make a face. You don't know what, it is, and
Right.
we're also designed to see faces and patterns and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, I don't believe that one for a bit, but
Right.
I'm sure, like I said, it's always, it's like, oh, I see a shadow person. I can't take shadow people claims seriously
Really?
as something for real.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on, like, EVPs?
They're interesting. I would have to say that for the most part, I've never heard anything. The TV shows, there's always something on the TV shows where it's like, oh, we said this, and then all of a sudden listen to this, and it's like we think it says this, and then suddenly everyone agrees, saying, oh yeah, I hear that too. That's exactly what it sounds like. So, I mean, is it possible that something could get picked up? Oh yeah, sure. Audio is weird. That's always a big fear of mine whenever I edit my videos, is while I'm going through my audio, I'll hear something that I didn't hear. Actually, no, that's happened before.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah. I was recording a video in the house I lived in before this one, and back behind me was the door that went to the bedroom, not the bedroom, that went to the hallway,
Right.
and the door that went to the bathroom. I closed both those off just so I can kind of get that nice resonance, and it's not like bouncing into another room, then bouncing back into the room. Try and close it off, keep it kind of closed space. But while I was recording, it sounded like the door to the bathroom opened. And then and I heard that, and I looked back, because it's directly behind me, the door is still closed.
Really?
So that's the only one time that I've had something like that happen. It was really freaky, but other than that, no, I haven't had anything else pop up on recording. But I kind of still take a minute and listen and kind of go like, man, I hope I don't hear I'm a ghost and I was waiting for you to get to this point in the audio so I can kill you.
Right.
First of all, I mean, bravo. I don't know why you took this long. It's very elaborate, but And second of all, how dare you?
Right.
My video's been ruined.
Right.
So yeah. But other than that, I'm sure, like I said, I believe that you can capture something. I've had the experience where something weird's happened, but I don't believe a lot of the spooky ghost hunter shows or stuff like that. Where
I think there's a lot of that. I mean, they definitely not fabricate. But they definitely set things.
No,
up
I'm sure there's a lot of people that do.
Yeah. Let me ask you this: what are your thoughts on like possession and things like that? Do you think that spirits or ghosts? I mean, you said you don't believe, but do you think that there is a phenomenon in which something can possess a person to act differently, or do you think maybe it's a weird psychosis thing of where they lose function of their body and things like that?
That one I'm gonna say I believe in to a
Okay.
degree. I'm not really devout or anything, but I do identify as Christian, so
Okay.
I believe in the devil and demons and stuff like that.
Okay.
Uh, so possession is always something that's I believe could take place. But like I said, I like also kind of keeping a very logical mindset, and I know that the human brain is very weird, and there can be points where, for one reason or none at all, the human brain can essentially just for a moment snap and just not function properly, uh, and that person lose faculties. And I believe there's also delusions that people suffer from where they believe they're being possessed, and very much so, your brain has a big factor on a lot of things that you can do. So the enhanced strength and speaking weird language. I don't know about the speaking weird languages, but like having more strength, just being more aggressive, doing stuff like that. I believe in because your brain can just be like use 100% of your muscle capacity uh, to the point where it hurts you, or do this to yourself, just stuff like that.
Right.
And sometimes an exorcism is the only way this person will believe that they are no longer possessed.
Hmm.
So
Interesting.
so
I
yeah,
yeah. I
that's my take on it.
I mean, I definitely think. Well, the weird thing about this is that there have been a couple of documented cases of this thing where it's very bizarre. I don't remember the names off the top of my head, but it's very strange, and it's interesting because I wonder if in 100 years from now or 200 years or whatever, that we'll have an understanding of what's going on with that kind of thing. Kind of like the Salem witch trials, like they kind of blamed people for being a witch or whatever, but come to find out there was a certain thing in their water. It was like a type of yeast that made people hallucinate, see things, or whatever. You know, so I don't.
Hmm.
Is there something going on that's a scientific, perfectly explainable, scientific phenomenon, or is it a legitimate paranormal entity possessing, not even an entity, but like a demon possessing these people, and things like that. I definitely, and that's the enjoyable thing to me about the paranormal is that no one knows for sure, you know,
Hmm.
but it's still spooky because there's that what if factor, what if there is something in my house and I don't know about it, things like that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But it's interesting. It's for sure. It's something to that something bumps in the middle of the night. Definitely, you definitely come across that in your thought process. You're like, oh my gosh, what's going on here?
Yeah, I think which is also something that I'm seeing a little bit more of in horror movies, is the home invasion sort of thing. I mean, it's been done before, but I'm just saying recently I'm seeing a few indie movies coming out,
Right.
um, where home invasion is sort of the theme, um, which is this is neat. I mean, I think that's the fear that a lot of people have, especially once they get older. Is you get kind of happy. It's like, oh man, I own a house now. But I mean, when you first move into a place, there's always that sort of like, oh, what was that noise or something? If you like
Right.
stay up late one night,
Right.
stuff like that. Uh, so there's lots of actually, you know what? That reminds me, I actually do have a kind of a funny story. So one night, when I had sort of just moved into my place, uh, I was alone. Uh, I uh, I was upstairs. I was on my computer, just playing a game. And I think I was just playing like a single player and had like something on in the background.
Okay.
And I have my headphones on and I'm just chilling out.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear something kind of I think I hear something in the background. So I take a second, listen. Oh, I don't hear anything else. Go back to play my game. Then I hear it again. So I take off my headphones entirely. and I'm listening, and it's a few minutes, and then I hear a voice from downstairs. And, sure enough, I'm used to, you know, kind of kind of wondering like, oh man, what if someone's breaking my house? Now I'm hearing a voice in my house,
Right.
so I do what I know what I know, and I grab my pistol and I head downstairs. So my stairs spiraled like down towards the garage door, and as I'm coming down the stairs, I see that the garage door is open.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I'm, pointing at the garage. I'm slowly making my way down, and it's pitch black, by the way, other than just a little bit of light.
This is nighttime.
Yeah, this is at night, so it's
Oh boy.
very dark. If I had a dark paint on my door or walls, it probably would have been worse. But like I said, it's very dark, and I literally just came from staring at a computer screen in the dark, so my night vision's not the best.
Right.
But I can full on tell my doors or my garage is open. So I'm making my way down, and I call out. I'm like, "Hey, someone's in there. You better make yourself known." No response. So I rack the slide just in case anyone can hear. Then I get down to the bottom of the steps and I flip the switch to turn the light on, and the light flashes on and then pops and goes out.
Are you serious?
Yes. And I was like, okay. Now I'm a little spooked.
Right.
Because this is exactly what happens in every horror movie.
Right. Everything that can go wrong does.
But yeah, so as I'm getting closer to the door, like right as I'm about to like push it open, I hear the voice again, and it just goes, "Error, stuck."
Oh.
So I push open the door, and my Roomba had gotten like over the threshold, and I guess I just didn't shut my garage door tightly enough.
Right.
Because it hit the garage door and hit the threshold and tumbled over and got stuck. And so there it was on the floor. It was just every couple of minutes, error, stuck.
Oh my gosh, that freaked me out, dude.
Yeah, it freaked me out too. I was like, oh boy. And I do have one other story actually of this.
Okay.
But this is when I was younger. So I was at the house alone, watching. I think my family had gone to a football game in town. Because again,
Okay.
I grew up in small town America, so
Right.
Friday night everyone's gone to the football games. Except for me, I stay home and I was watching scary movies.
Right. As you should be.
As you should be. Because I was like I said, I was upstairs watching my movies. I had to go to the bathroom. I'm not going to lie, I had it all made. The lights were out, it was pitch black. I had snacks. So, I'm just enjoying my night. I get up because I got to go to the bathroom. I hear the call of nature. And I start making my way across the room. So I'm looking. So as you come out of my room. There's a den, and then there is the door to the bathroom, and the door is just a doorway. There's no door there that leads downstairs. Again, the only light that comes out is the one from my room. So I am making my way to the bathroom. Like I said, I lived here for a while. I know my way around the house. I'm sure you've done it too. You walk around the house in the dark all the time because you know it.
Right.
As I'm getting to the bathroom, I hear something at the bottom of the stairs, and I'm looking down there, and of course it's you can see like the first few steps, and the rest is just a pitch black tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm looking down there, and I'm really trying to focus, and I started seeing movement, like something's crawling up the stairs, and then I see two eyes, and everyone talks about how like, oh, I was a brave boy, I did this, blah blah blah. I was legitimately frozen with fear for a moment.
Right.
because something is crawling up the stairs and has glowing eyes.
Yeah.
It gets up the stairs a little more, and it's a cat.
Yeah, your cat.
No, it's not my cat.
Oh, it's not
We don't
your
know-
cat. You don't have a cat.
We don't have a cat. So I'm pretty freaked out. So I turn on the lights. I pick up the cat because the cat's pretty friendly, surprisingly. It comes right up to me and it's friendly. It's getting pets and stuff. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm a little curious. Like, oh, how'd this cat get here? I was thinking, oh no, maybe my sister or my mom or somebody found it outside because we lived in the country and there's stray animals that come by all the time. So I was like, oh, maybe somebody brought this cat inside before they left and just didn't tell me for whatever reason. So I was like, okay, let me go downstairs to get the phone and see if I can't call somebody and find out what's going on. I get down the stairs, and the back door is wide open.
What? Oh, so it got in that way.
It got in, but the thing is, the back door, I was pretty sure it was locked. So that really freaked me out because I was like, okay, the cat came in because someone broke in.
Right.
So I checked every room because I was like, oh no. So I'm looking around. I put the cat outside and I lock the doors and I checked everywhere. I basically flipped the house upside down because I was 100% certain that someone was in the house with me.
Yeah.
So.
That's
But
creepy.
oh yeah, it was very freaky. But those are my Home Alone stories. One where a cat spooked me, and one where I almost put a couple holes into my wall because of a spooky Roomba.
Spooky Roomba. I mean, heck, I'd pay extra for a spooky Roomba.
My wife just sent me a picture of a Roomba with a knife taped to it saying, "It's going to get you."
Yeah. We got Jensen here with us. That dude's legit. I've been watching his stuff lately. He's got great content, and then his live streams also are really good too.
Oh no! Don't believe Jensen for a minute. Let me tell you, Jensen, he legit. He has a TikTok. All right, so you don't want to associate with him.
Oh yeah,
All right.
Is that right?
Yeah, he makes TikTok memes.
Oh, geez.
I'm sorry, but I just gotta be honest.
Is that
here.
true? I don't know. I have to hear it from him. I do have I have a couple of ghost stories that happened to me. The freakiest one I remember is, it was after middle school, and I did sports, and so I didn't get home until it was already dark. And so my dad was out of town a lot, and there was a time where, my mom picks me up when we're driving home, and we get home at, 8 or 9 o'clock, and we can hear in the driveway that my two dogs are just losing their minds in my house. And we're like, what? And they're just going off. And we go inside and we hear my dogs barking upstairs. And so we have a second story, house. And so we go upstairs and we see that the attic door to the attic, it's pulled down. It's like one of those that has the string hanging from the ceiling, and it's pulled down, and the ladder is extended. And like you have to pull down the string, reach up, pull the ladder down, and then extend it and like lock it out. And all of that was done, and my dogs are just losing it at the bottom of this attic, and I'm like, yeah, there's no way I'm going up there. And and the scary thing about that is you can't check, like you can't turn on the light and then go up there. You have to climb up there and then stand up and then turn the light on. And so we eventually we just closed it. I was like, there's probably someone up there, but I don't care. I'm not going up there. And that was one of the things that happened to my house. But then a story that kind of reminded me of yours was same scenario, middle of the night, we're going to bed, and we hear a sound coming from, because my brother and I's room was in the basement, and I definitely hear a woman's voice in the basement, and it wasn't my mom's, but and we kind of prick up and we're like, what? Like, what did we just hear? We heard like a woman's voice in the basement, and so we hear it again, and it's at, you know, the different there's like a certain amount of time between each time it would talk, and it sounded robotic too, which was kind of weird. And we finally got the courage to open the door and peek out, and it was the smoke detector. His battery was low, and it was like, it was like this lady's voice. It's like, battery needs change or something, and I'm like, oh my gosh. But
yeah, I don't know why they change it to voices, cause stuff like that. It seems like that's the thing. We're like, oh yeah, we'll give them voices, and it'll make them more easily noticed and stuff like that. And I'm just like, no. You got people like me who think they hear something, and then next thing you know, they're fumbling in the dark, just yelling and screaming.
Right, putting holes in their walls.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, man. I think we nailed the topic down pretty solid.
Yeah.
I can't think of any other good stories to talk about. And I don't think anyone really has any questions for us. I've been checking the chat. It's mostly about TikTok and how sexy you are, but I mean, other than that.
Yeah, well, those are two very true things.
I mean, it's par for the course, really.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, hey, man. Thanks for coming on and chatting with me, and you know, talking
no problem.
ghost stories, talking conspiracy. I mean, these are just fun things to talk about. Like, I don't even have to think about this kind of stuff. Like, that's just fun for me.
Yeah, it's nice just kind of having a back and forth for a little bit. Like you said, let's talk about ghosts. Like, I hope he doesn't ask me about ghost stories, because I was like, I absolutely don't have any.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm actually gonna have he is low-key hot. I was gonna have Deadleaf Clover
Thanks for
come on.
spicy cheeks.
I was gonna have Deadleaf Clover come on in a couple days. I think she's got a couple for me, but I'm excited to hear those. But
Neat.
You know, what? Yeah. Anyways, what are you working on before we head out? What are you working on next? So people get excited to see what you got coming out.
Two biggest things I'm working on. One, on my channel is I'm kind of going back to the classics a little bit more lately. There's going to be a ritual pasta, maybe 2.
Ooh.
And then after that, the only real big thing that's coming up. Oh, 2 big things actually. I just got reminded of them. The Kingdom Halloween special that I do is coming back. I'm writing it out now. The only thing is, I don't know if I'm going to break it up again over 13 days, or if I'm going to try for like just one big upload on the actual night itself. So we'll see how that goes. But
okay.
As of that's the big thing. The second thing is the HorrorCon VR. For those who don't know, with COVID shutting down all the current conventions and stuff, a lot of people have not been able to go to any horror conventions or conventions in general. So a couple other people in the horror community have come together, and they are having what's known as HorrorCon VR. It's held in VR Chat, which is a free game. You don't need a VR headset or anything like that to run it. There's going to be guests, there's going to be panels, booths, stuff like that. Lots of fun. I'm holding a booth, and I'm also holding a panel. It's about an hour long, and it's some helpful tips on how to sound more realistic when reading a story.
Nice. I will definitely be checking that out. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of checking things out, I definitely recommend Maskino and his channel. He's got some great stuff. He's got a lot of good quality out there, different stories and things like that. And then, like you said earlier, like his most popular one was like the meme one. Like he's a funny guy. You might not be able to tell from our interaction, but he cracks me up. He's hilarious. So I mean, I say that jokingly. I mean, you have me laughing all night, but yeah, I
just saw Jensen's. I just saw his thing. Lots of ooh people. I agree. Ooh people, just the absolute worst. Just the worst. You go on there and you try to have a fun time with your friends, and some little anime girl walks up to you with a deep voice calling you a cunt. It's just the worst.
I mean, that's, that's just how life works, though, isn't it?
Unfortunately, it is.
Yeah.
Because I am the anime girl calling people bad names.
Nice. Well, hey, man, thanks for coming on. Thanks for chatting with me. Thanks for talking, scary stuff, talking conspiracies, things that I feel like most people don't really appreciate as much. So I appreciate you coming on and just being a bro.
Yeah, no problem.
Oh, we got a question. What day is that going to be? It looks like Terror Talk.
The convention is, I believe, the 28th through the 31st. It's basically the very end of Halloween. It goes through Halloween, but it's like the end of the month for October. But so far, panels, dates, and times have not been released to us yet. All I can tell you is that it's confirmed that I have a panel in a booth. But my time slot, I don't know just yet. I'm shooting for. I requested one in the later afternoon, Central Standard Time. So somewhere around 6 to 7 o'clock p.m. in Central Standard Time.
Right.
So that's right now what I'm working for, and I'm gonna, if I can, I shot for Saturday. So if it all works out, the time that I requested should be 6 to 7 or 7 to 8 Central Standard Time on Saturday.
Nice. That's awesome. I that sounds so cool. And you know what I really hope, before we go, I hope that we need to get the Zombified on here, and I wonder if they're gonna do the Wizard of Word things again. That was really cool.
That was fun. I wouldn't mind going back into that again.
I mean, I'm gonna get busted, but I mean, I enjoy being a part of a good live stream, and because it just wasn't just horror stories the whole time. Like we did stories, and then we talked, and then we were uploading memes. I mean, obviously.
Oh, of course. I still have the one where you.
I still have mine. I still have like 20 memes I've made, and obviously I'm super new at the live stream thing. Like, there's so much I could do with this that I haven't been doing. Like, I can't really upload images and all that fun stuff that they can do. Like, they do such a great job with their stuff.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I think it's fine. There's a lot of I usually have some issues with live streaming too, so but it's definitely a learning process. Actually, one of the things I was doing a lot before I started doing more YouTube was what's it called? Live streaming. I was doing games and stuff over on Mixer, but
oh yeah.
Unfortunately, Mixer's gone now, so rest in pepperoni.
Right.
Also, Jensen said he loves my intro, but like, bro, you got good at that Blender, so I'm a little jealous. I literally tried SFM, the Source Filmmaker,
right,
and I got the basics. I can make models move. I can't make them walk for whatever reason, and I need to like stop procrastinating and calling myself a failure, because I am a failure, because I haven't figured out how to make them move properly. Like I've got the basics. Like, I can make objects and stuff move. There's just a lot of like 3D modeling lingo essentially right now that I'm learning and stuff. But no, I like a lot of stuff he's been uploading on like Twitter and stuff, and his live streams too.
Nice.
So. And also, Weepcar, you asked for that lasagna again. I swear to God, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna make you watch me cry like a grown man's never cried before.
It doesn't take much for me to cry. I was crying all today.
It's okay.
Yeah. Well, hey man, we should definitely do this again. I'll think of a different topic. Maybe we'll do like Bigfoot or cryptids or something. But definitely have you come back.
Hey man,
on.
all I'm saying is Bigfoot is real, and he tried to eat my ass.
That needs to be a T-shirt that I own. Let me just say.
Give me a few minutes, I'll get you one.
Yeah, I know a guy. Well, hey man, hey, I appreciate your time, man. You're awesome. And
oh, thanks. You too, man.
People in the chat, go check him out. Maskino's legit, and he's a cool guy. So
just real fast, can we get a lasagna in chat, please?
Can we get some S in the chat, please?
Some S for John's lasagna.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, hey, I think I think I'm done for tonight. So I'll catch you guys around, and we'll see you guys later. Okay.
All right.
All right, man. All right. See ya.
See ya.